A good Erev Yom Tov, Yom Kippur to everyone. In the old day, an itinerant preacher would travel from city to city and offer words of inspiration depending on what that congregation needed. So the story is told of such an itinerant priest. He came into a town and he asked the leaders of the town, what do they need to work on? They said, oh, Rabbi, they work on everything. Doesn't matter what you talk about. But one thing, don't speak more than 5 minutes. The rabbi was taken aback. An introduction is 5 minutes. What kind of restriction is this? He says, okay, if you insist. So he starts speaking in front of the congregation, and he introduces his talk. He says about a story that took place in heaven. You see, there's a very fine vilon, a very fine curtain that separates what Gan Eden from Gehenna, from paradise to the opposite. One day, that curtain fell down. And the person in paradise, the people there could see what was going on the other side, how horrible everything was, and they said, put that curtain back up. On the other hand, those who were in Gehenna saw how beautiful things were for those who had earned the Garden of Eden. And they said, leave it down. It's beautiful. We want to be able to see what's going on over there. Back and forth. No, put it back up. No, leave it down. A tremendous dispute ensued. And so now the congregants were listening to the rabbi telling the story, and they said, Rabbi, please tell us, what was the reconciliation of this dispute? And the rabbi then pointed to his wrist watch, and he says, I'm sorry, I only have 5 minutes. On that, everybody was like ready to give him an hour to speak. All kidding aside, I have maybe 5 minutes to share something I think is very, very important. Say at this point, during the Aseret Tshuva, if taken seriously, will that make Yom Kippur that much more meaningful for all of us. It is an amazing shortcut to your tshuva. What is it? The Talmud teaches that if there's a basket full of sins, the very first thing that is in that basket that's going to be reckoned, Salat, Male Avonos, Mi Mekatrik Barosh, which one is going to accuse it first? It's Gezel. It's things that were gotten in an improper fashion. How does this fit in with another statement the sages make? That God loves 3 people. There are 3 people that Hashem really adores. It says it like this. 1, a single person who lives in the city and doesn't sin. He has temptations, he's single, he has no wife, but yet he doesn't sin. The second is a poor person who returns a lost object to a wealthy guy. He's just found something, he could use it to feed his family, and he knows it's owned by someone else. And he goes in and fights his Yetzer Hara, and he gives it back, and he returns it to the wealthy person who he could have justified. He doesn't need it, he has so much anyway. There'd be one way for him to get his money to work for him in the area of tzedakah. But no, this poor person returns it because Baruch Hu loves a person like that. The third person, it is said, is that Misha over al midosav. One is Maver al midosav, one who forgives, forbears, overlooks the silly things, the premeditated, nasty things that other people do to him. And why is this midah such a midah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves so much? And I think I have an answer. If you think about it, in the way in which we are judged on Yom Kippur, there's a very important point that we have to keep in mind. How HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at us has very much to do with how we look at him and his mitzvahs. To illustrate this, there was this simpleton who made it to a very wealthy man's home. He had some work to do, and went about doing it. He was the simplest of the simplest. No education, totally ignorant to most things. He ceiling, and he noticed in the ceiling that there was a rope hanging, somehow attached to a chandelier, but a free-falling rope, and that could be used for his cart. He had a horse and buggy, and he was destined to get up into the attic and cut that rope away. Unbeknownst to the owner, he got up into the attic, took his knife, cut the rope, and not only the rope fell down, but in a great crash, the whole chandelier fell down, broken into 100,000 pieces. It was totally useless. The Balabais walked in just at that moment. Shmerel, did I hire you to take down my chandelier? And look what you did to it. You destroyed it. The Balabais was thinking to himself at some kind of good, suited punishment to give him. He thought, and in his thinking he says, Shmerel has no money. There's no way he's going to pay me back. His household members started gathering around to see what's going on. What happened? And they see what the destruction, and they see the peasant holding the rope in his hand, and the Balabais says, you know what? For that rope, I want you to pay me $10. That was what you took without permission. I want you to pay that back. The rest of the family members said, but Dad, Tati, that chandelier's worth thousands of rubles. And you're letting him get away with paying 10 kopecks or dollars just for the rope? And he answered him like this. He's a peasant. I know he'll never pay me back. And he doesn't even have any idea what this thing was worth. But the thing that he did take from me was that rope that he stole, that he's going to be held accounted for. And that's the only thing he understands. This story was told by the Nikolsburg Rebbe. And it was told, maybe it actually happened or was told as a metaphor for a bigger message. The bigger message is that God made his world. And on Yom Kippur, we're like that little peasant who have done certain transgressions, but have no idea how much it's worth. We have no idea what ramifications something we did or something that we didn't do affected the heavenly abode. And God has Rahmanas on us. He's like that Balabais. He's more sophisticated, who understands the value of things. And he gives us a pass. As long as we come a little bit closer to wanting to make amends by paying for that rope. You pay for that rope, even though you don't understand what's at the end of the rope and how it's holding up the chandelier and how God holds up the entire world with our actions. Even though you don't understand it fully, from what you understand, you are responsible. You fix what you can fix. And if you do that, God will maver al midosav. He will overlook things. He will overlook the fine points and that you could have done, the things you could have done better. So this Yom Kippur, if you want to benefit from among the things that Kodesh Baruch Hu loves is those who emulate his ways by giving people the benefit of the doubt, forgiving them, even though you think they did real nasty things to you. And maybe they didn't even approach you properly to asking for forgiveness. This is one of the things that they are supposed to do before Yom Kippur. Just as Kadosh Baruch Hu is merciful on our shortfallings, so Kadosh Baruch Hu will be merciful on yours as well. And that is a very important thing that we can do. Grab hold, embrace the midah of forbearing, or forgiving, overlooking slights against you, even though you might deserve an apology. Maybe you deserve recompense. But sometimes we just overlook it, and by doing so, we achieve a level of being ahuvim, beloved to the Ribono Shel Olam. And there's no doubt a positive judgment can come down as a result of that. This Yom Kippur, let's keep that in mind so that we'll have the most uplifting experience this year and bring Mashiach